So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our community open morning for our Frog Lane site in Wigan and our Plank Lane site in Lee. Firstly, we're going to start with our Frog Lane site. So Lane End Group and Torus will be delivering a mix of 60 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom homes, and the homes will be available for affordable rent, which will be managed by Torus, and they are being built by Northwest Contractors Lane End Group. So let's start off with some introductions first. So we've got Jess Dillon in the top hand corner there, so she's our contracts manager on both sites. We've then got Ian and Kate, they're our site team, and they're unfortunately not able to be with us today, but if you were to visit site, I'm sure you would be able to see them. We've then got myself, Laura Perry, so I'm the Social Value Executive at Lane End Group, and I'm in charge of the social value projects for both Frog and Plank Lane. We've then got Sarah Houghton-Grimshaw, who's our supported housing commissioning manager from Torus. And then we've got Amanda Davies, who is the team leader at Home Finder Hub and also from Torus. So firstly, we'll do a site development update for Frog. If Jess, you could please take us through this.
Yeah, so Frog Lane is progressing well at the moment. So the 60 units are divided into 3 phases across the scheme. So we've got phase 1, which runs along Field Street. That comprises of the first 17 units. The build itself is progressing well, and we should have those available for handover within the next few weeks, towards the end of October, early November. We have had a bit of a delay, unfortunately, with getting the mains water branch connection in from United Utilities. So to enable us to hand over, we just need confirmation of a date from them. And then as soon as we have that, we're on our way then with works. The local authority highways are also due to undertake some resurfacing works on Field Street as well. So we're going to make sure that all of that is finalised before any occupations on the site. We've then got phase 2, which is the next 39 units. All of those units are currently in build, ongoing with superstructures, and we've got the first roofs on last week while the trusses are up. And then we'll be working over the next couple of weeks to get those plots watertight, and then we can start our internal works on those. And then we've got just 4 units comprising phase 3. Which are due to commence within the next couple of weeks, once we've done a little bit of reconfiguration on the site as we start building out. So it's progressing well. As I say, phase 1 is due for handover imminently, depending on these external factors now. And then phases 2 and 3 are probably going to be towards the beginning of next year, the early part of next year.
Brilliant, thank you, Jess. So next we'll do a community update. So at the Lane End Group, we approach social value from a different angle to most. We're very, very passionate about giving back to the communities in which we build, and we ensure that all our life developments are fully utilised by provisions such as local labour, employment, apprenticeship opportunities, as well as kind of really immersing ourselves in the local communities with local schools, charities, and really making ourselves that kind of active community member. So some of our highlights in Wigan so far. So we have utilised 7 local subcontractors and suppliers. So this is really kind of keeping it all local, trying to get local suppliers and contractors wherever we can and where possible. Again, we're very keen on kind of local people. So we've employed 156 local people on site so far. So that's really investing back into our community and the community around our sites. We're also very keen on supporting kind of new and emerging talent. So on our Frog Lane site, we've employed 9 apprentices. So this is kind of giving people the opportunity to kind of learn the tools with seasoned professionals, kind of getting that on-site experience, as well as the support of doing their qualification at their college partner. Career support is also something we're very passionate about. So to date, we've offered over 450 students career support and advice. So that's at the Deanery High School, which is just down the road from our site. And also we've worked very closely with Wigan and Lee College. So we're kind of making sure we're getting that wide area of people from high school to colleges and also some primary schools as well. And just very recently, actually, we provided the Wigan Youth Zone with a makeover. On that second picture on the slide there, that corridor is now completely a new colour. So our team, our customer care team, worked hard to kind of breathe a bit of new life into the centre after a very busy few years. And we've also donated 40 brand new wardrobes to the Brick, which is a homeless charity based in Wigan. So we kind of really look to support multiple different kind of charities, schools and local people as well into jobs. So that's kind of a big roundup of what some of the work we've been doing on the site already. So we're moving on now to an environmental update. Again, the Lane End Group, we're really passionate about the environment, and we take the environment around our sites and beyond very seriously. And that's why we're committed to having a sustainable, delivering projects that's sustainable and have minimal impact on the environment around us. So just some of the highlights we've got on site. I'm not sure I understand. Is we've saved over 300,000 kilograms of carbon per week. Now this is all to do with kind of local labour. So we heard before that we've got a big amount of local labour on the Frog Lane site. So that helps us to kind of save carbon. We're also saving energy. So our site cabins use PRI lighting, which means they turn on and off automatically, which again saves lots of energy. Waste recycling, so over 99% of our waste on site is recycled and diverted from landfill. So we work very closely with our waste management providers to make sure we can do that and divert any of the landfill. And a final one is we use 100% green energy as well. So we use a provider that provides 100% renewable energy, and this adds up to 50 grams of carbon per kilowatt of energy used. So it's all kind of little changes, but they do make a big impact on the environment around us, which is something we are extremely passionate about. Okay, so that concludes our update on the Frog Lane site. So we'll now move on to our Plank Lane site. So Lane End Group and Torus will be delivering a mix of 78 apartments and 9 bungalows, and the homes will all be available for affordable rent, similar to our Frog Lane site, but these ones are aimed at over 55s. Again, they'll be managed by Torus, and they're being built by Northwest Contractors Lane End Group. So we'll do some introductions for this site. Again, it's a similar team, it's just your site team that are changing. So Jess, again, is the contracts manager on that site. We've then got Anthony Honor, who's the project manager. And then we've got Joel Clearly, who's the assistant site manager, who looks like you've just joined us, Joel, if you give us a wave. Oh, I think you might have frozen, but Joel is on the screen. We've then got myself again as the social value executive, and then we've got Sarah and Amanda from Torus, who are also managing that site as well. So if we move on to the site development update, it does look like Jess and Joel may have just dropped out for a second. We'll see if they can get back on, but if not, I can do a community update first and we can always come back to them. So it looks like they've lost connection, so I will just move forward to the community update and we'll go back and get a site update when hopefully they reconnect with us. So as I've just explained, for our Frog Lane site, we take social value very, very seriously at the Lane End Group, and we really immerse ourselves and become active members of our local community. So some of the highlights in Lee so far is we've utilised the use of 23 local contractors and suppliers so far. Again, that's kind of keeping the money locally and doing that wherever we can. We've employed 120 local people on site, which is investing back into our communities. And again, it's the added benefit of actually reducing our carbon emissions also. We've employed 30 apprentices on this site, which is a fantastic number. And we've learnt the tools with seasoned professionals. So again, it's given those people who are perhaps looking for a change in career or are just starting out on their career journey, that opportunity to learn while on site and get the experience of a real kind of live site. We've supported the Bricks Wish for Wigan campaign, which they ran last December, which was their campaign to kind of help the homeless in Wigan and Lee. And we actually managed to support that campaign with funds generated from our charity metal scrap skip. So again, it's that kind of environmental incentive that actually does good for the community as well as like a secondary benefit. So waste that may have originally gone to landfill, we've managed to divert and put to better use. And again, it's kind of got that secondary benefit. We've donated essential food supplies to the Allerton and Lee Food Bank. So all of our Lane End sites actually have a food bank bin on site where we encourage our subcontractors to give if they can, and our site team as well, and we can distribute them to our local food banks. And we've also supported the Wigan and Lee annual construction conference in partnership with Wigan and Lee College. So myself and members of Torus also joined, and we spoke to kind of the future construction professionals, giving them advice, and also from that we're hoping to get some workplace placements also on site, which would be a fantastic link there. So next we'll move to an environmental update. Again, we're very, very passionate about the environment around our sites. So here are just some of the kind of big changes we've made and the kind of bigger changes that they've made to the community around us. So we've saved over 4,000 kilograms of carbon. So again, this is slightly higher than our Frog Lane site due to more local people being on site at one time, which leads to a bigger saving in our carbon emissions. Again, our site cabins on this site have PRI lighting, which means they automatically turn on and off. So this means that energy is used when only reducing emissions, so much better for the environment. Over 99% of waste is recycled, so we have strong and productive relationship with our waste management partner. So that means we can divert as much waste as possible from landfill. And again, we are using 100% renewable energy. And this means we can save up to 50 grams of carbon emissions for each kilowatt of energy used. So it looks like Jess and Joel have just dropped out for the second, so I will go through the site update that we've and do my best to go through that one. So roofing work from the apartment block are progressing well, and the team endeavours to have the first section watertight by next week. So you can see some of kind of the progress pictures there. We've got 5 of the bungalows are now watertight, and plasterboarding is due to commence this week. And the superstructure works on the 4 remaining bungalows will begin next month, so you'll soon see these take shape and hopefully progress very quickly there. Okay, so we'll move on now to an introduction to Torus. So I'll hand over to Sarah and Amanda.
Hi, I'm Sarah Horton-Grimshaw. I'm the Supported Housing Commissioning Manager at Torus. So I'm involved in ensuring that the building, when it's complete, is suitable for the client group. So our client group here is for people who are over 55. It's different to what people may imagine. They know about housing for older people. It isn't a sheltered accommodation or an extra care scheme. It's apartments that have special design features such as level access, wet rooms, a lift and a scooter store and a communal room. There's no staff on site to provide care, etc. But people who live here can then independently contract their own care through the usual routes from the local authority. We're very proud of this type of product. We think it gives people a real opportunity to have well-designed accommodation, but without having those additional extra costs that come along sometimes with heavily staffed schemes. We will have a part-time person who's on site to assist with things such as small repairs, cleaning, etc. So I'll hand over to Amanda now, who'll talk about how you apply to live at the Coal Windings.
Good morning. In order to be able to live at Coal Windings, you need to apply to Wigan and Lee Housing. I believe it's called Find a Home Scheme, and you need to be registered with their scheme and active on the list. Once the properties at Coal Windings are completed, they will be advertised via Wigan and Lee housing site. They'll be advertised shortly before completion, and you do need to be active on the list. And the list of people that apply will be then sent to us at Torus, and we will be contacting the successful applicants as soon as we possibly can. once you've placed your bid. I think that's about it really, about how you need to apply. You can't apply by ringing Torus and asking for your name to be put down. You do need to be active on the Wigan rehousing list.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Sarah and Amanda. It looks like Jess has now managed to rejoin us, so that's brilliant. Jess, I have been through your Plank Lane update. Unless you've got anything else to add to that, we can move on to the question and answer session.
Sorry, noisy sight team walking in there. No further updates other than what's on the presentation in terms of progress on site. We're working on a very difficult roof at the moment, just trying to get the building watertight, and that's where we're up to. So that's our critical stage at the moment on Plank Lane, trying to get that roof in. We are going to have we've got the roof split into 3 sections. We're going to have that first section watertight within the next couple of weeks now, which will in turn allow us to work inside the building and make a positive start. I think that's about it in terms of progress there, Laura.
Brilliant, thank you. So we will move on now to our question and answer session. So we've had 4 questions submitted to this meeting, so I will just read them out. So first question is from Mrs. Finn, and she asked, when are the jobs expected to be completed? Jess, if you wouldn't mind taking that one, please.
Yeah, so we'll start off with Frog Lane. So as I said before, phase 1 on Frog Lane, which is the first 17 units serviced by Field Street, are due to be build complete imminently now within the next few weeks. The things that we're waiting for are kind of external factors that are sort of beyond our control to enable full completion to allow occupation. So we've got a branch connection from United Utilities, which we're pursuing a connection date for at the moment. And there's some resurfacing works that will be needed on Field Street as well to enable those properties to be accessed and serviced. So we're hoping that within the next few weeks we'll be able to hand over those units. Phases 2 and 3 are going to be towards the first part of next year. And then moving on to Plank Lane, we are probably going to be towards the early part of next year again on there.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Jess. The next question we've got is from Mr. Sullivan. They've asked, will there be car parking spaces for residents? Jess, if you wouldn't mind taking that one again.
Yeah, so obviously we're working to approved planning designs, all of which encompass residential parking upon completion. So on Frog Lane, we've got 1 dedicated drive parking space per unit, and there'll also be parking facilities available on the access roads too. On Plank Lane, again, the bungalows will all be serviced by either 1 or 2 driveways, depending on the positioning of them. And then the apartments have got ample parking within a sort of central courtyard area, if you like. Included within that are some disabled parking spaces. And we'll also be providing charging points as well on Plank Lane for electrical vehicle charging.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Jess. So the next question is coming from Mrs. Taylor, and they've asked, how can I apply to live in one of the apartments on Plank Lane? Amanda, I know you have been through this just now, but we have had some people join in the lobby, so if you wouldn't mind just re-explaining that for us.
Yeah. Firstly, I meant to apologise before. I've got my camera turned off because I was breaking up with it turned on, so the technologies at my end is obviously not very good, so I apologise for that. People do need to be active on the Wigan and Lee housing register, and I believe it's called Find a Home. So if they're not already active on that list, they need to register at Wigan and Lee for rehousing. The properties will be advertised shortly before they are ready to let on the Wigan and Lee advert for the vacant properties. So there'll be this new build at Cold Windings advertised. If, as Jess said, the properties are expected early new year, I would anticipate we would be advertising potentially with the number of properties that there are anytime from November onwards. So if anybody's interested, the advert, they do really need to start looking perhaps from November. And as I've said, they'll be advertised on the Find a Home website at Wigan and Lee Housing. And you do need to be active and over 55.
Brilliant, thanks Amanda. And then our final question has come in from Mr. Gray, and they've asked, is there a waiting list for housing at the moment?
So do you want me to pick that one up, Amanda? So we don't hold our own waiting list, and because we are subscribed to the choice-based letting scheme, which is the Wigan Find a Home scheme, that's how we will allocate all of the apartments. So what people would need to do is have a look at that and see how that choice-based letting scheme works. It isn't simply a time on the list. People will be allocated a banding depending on their housing need. So as Amanda said, they need to meet the first criteria, which is that they're over 55. Then there will be other criteria in terms of people's housing need, which will dictate how far to the top of the list they are. What we would advise people, as Amanda has said, is that they do need to be active on that list. So what that means is people need to apply, which they can do online. They can follow the link. It's quite easy. I've had a look this morning. You just need to put into your search bar, Find a Home Wigan. And then there's a link on there for people to be able to register. They will need to provide some evidence to be able to get their account active. It isn't immediate. There is a back office function that the choice-based lettings team will need to do to verify people's applications. So we would encourage people to do that now, so that when the advert is open, that their account is active at that point. People then need to do is, it's not like the old waiting list where someone used to ring you and say you've come to the top of the list. The process now is that you need to check on a weekly basis on the advert and make a bid through that system for the property. So it's an active process rather than sitting back and waiting for someone to contact you. I think Find a Home, if they do have people who can assist with that process, and if you are struggling, if you're not someone who, for example, is IT literate, maybe can't use an online system, if you do contact the council, they'll guide you in terms of who can actually assist. You can have a family member, for example, who may be able to make that the bidding for you if you're not computer literate. So that there is help out there, there is assistance, but we encourage people to do that now, because if you do wait until the advert is open, it may be that, you know, your account isn't active in time to make your application. I think that should cover that answer.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Sarah. If there is any additional questions, you can just pop them in the chat box now and we can go through them. I will just wait a minute just to see if we've got any additional questions coming through. Or alternatively, if you are watching this on the recording, then please feel free to email us any additional questions. Our email address is just on the screen now, info@laneend.org, and we can get that on to the appropriate person and get you an answer to your question. We've also got other information as well available on our website, which is www.laneend.org. So no additional questions have come through in the chat. So I think that concludes our open morning. Thank you very much everyone for attending. And if you are watching on the recording, thank you for watching the recording and catching up with this morning's activity. And if there's anything further from anyone else? No, that's it. That's our meeting concluded then. Thank you very much for attending.